Guys, No Life here. Today I'm gonna do a Chaos City tier list. I know some of y'all have probably been waiting on this for a while, but yeah, let's just hop right into it. Assault Deku on Chaos City, I think is like I'm gonna put him at A plus. I think he's very strong. I think his usefulness in like team combos and stuff is just in general fairly useful, and he's high range, low risk to play as long as you can just hit your shots. Yeah, solid character. And I also have to mention that since Tech Denki is out, his alpha damage has gotten up a lot. He can now get to like 95 and 101 damage for GP and then HP respectively, which is very massive for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up moving up further, but for now, this is where I'm going to put him. Strike Deku. S plus. He's the best character in the game. He was before the tune. The third alpha buff lets him get all the way up to 130 on GP and 140 on HP. And then triple strike, that gets even worse. Gets to 150 and 160. And even his optimal build has revenge strike on it, so he can get all the way up to 175 per alpha without plus ultra. And you can probably get over 200 per alpha with plus ultra. It's kind of crazy what this character can do. Not to mention his crazy combo game that makes it basically impossible for any character without an armor move to approach him without risking heavy damage. Yeah, I think this character is the strongest in the game, and I don't think anybody even comes close. In fact, I'd row above FB tier. I don't think a single character even gets close enough to him to warrant him being in the same tier as anyone else. He's dumb broken, and yeah, definitely the best character in the game. Strike Bakugo. This is the first time in a long time I'm putting Strike Bakugo in a different tier than Assault Deku. And that's largely because he can't use triple stacked alphas, so he can't reach 100 damage without triple strike. If he runs triple strike, he can get 100 damage, but Assault Deku doesn't need any strikes to get 100 damage, which is why I put Strike Bakugo right here. Definitely still strong. He can do a lot of similar things to Assault Deku, but just he feels like a worse Assault Deku now because his damage is just lower. More charges though is nice, but he also has less range. Yeah. Solid character, but gets held back. If he could use his own alpha boost tune, he'd probably be A plus, or maybe even higher. Rapid Bakugo. He also suffers from not being able to use his own alpha tune, but he suffers a lot less because Rapid Bakugo himself is just broken. So I'm gonna put him at S minus. Alright, Ochako. I'm gonna put Ochako at S minus as well. Probably above Rapid Bakugo. Nah, I'm gonna put Rapid Bakugo above. Because Rapid Bakugo, all you have to do with Rapid Bakugo is kind of like hit his shots and then know how to do like Beta Gamma Alpha. And like that's like very tough for some like characters and like tough to deal with. Like Rapid Bakugo is like much more versatile. He can do well against the entire cast. But Ochako, you can pretty easily counter her by just staying on the ground and being prepared to roll her Gamma. Now, if she hits your Gamma, you're dead. Like, simple as that. Like, if she hits her Gamma and she knows what she's doing, you pretty much just die. And that's, like, not an over-exaggeration at all. You pretty much just kind of die. And I think that should be changed. But, yeah, I mean, Ochako is, like, solid, very strong character, but just not game-breaking. This is, like, Chaos City as well. So these, like, beamers and stuff are going to be as high. Ida. I'm going to put Ida above Rapid Bakugo. Because Sisterly and Revenge Assault is kind of busted on him. The third Alpha tune doesn't really work very well for him. He can tune it and like end up with like 70 damage alphas. But that also means that characters like Assault Deku now 5-shot him when they used to take like 6 or 7 shots to kill him. So yeah, I think Ida's struggling a lot more this season than Ida was struggling, but he's still like very like strong. Still very good character. Still really dumb broken and heavily underrated by a lot of people. Strike Shoto. He can also get 100 damage alphas. I'm gonna personally put him above Strike Toto, or not Strike Toto, Assault Deku. He has more range, more alpha charges, and his Gamma can set up for crazy burst damage. And he can also make use of Wall Runner to get rid of his main disadvantage. And yeah, his Gamma also has crazy reload on it, which honestly gives him really good mobility when paired with Wall Runner. Like better than that of, I would even say, a Black Whip level 9 Assault Deku. Some people would probably disagree with me on that. But yeah, I mean, Strike Toto can be very like slippery and very mobile with Wall Runner. He also has a few setups into Sisterly as well, which Assault Deku doesn't have. So that also works to his advantage. Yeah, I think Strike Toto is just kind of better than Assault Deku and better than a lot of the other characters. Yeah. Tech Shodho. S+. I mean, he gets Wall Runner. His alpha after the tuning update gets up to like 120 damage on on GP, and then like 130 on HP or something like that. It's ridiculous. The character also has crazy defensive capabilities. Once again, it's ridiculous. Yeah, this character is a massive pain to kill, and basically any melee character just hates him because of his ice that he puts on his feet when he does alpha. And he also is really good against ranged characters as well. His only significant issue is a lack of mobility, but even then, Wall Runner and being able to shoot his beta straight upwards, yeah, this character's broken. Yeah, I definitely think Tech Shoto is up there. I've heard some people say, like, from, like, Japan and stuff, that Tech Shoto's #1. I personally disagree, but, yeah, he's definitely in the talk. If you said Tech Shoto was #1, I wouldn't be like, you're crazy. Froppy. I think she's A. I'm gonna put her below Strike Bakugo. She's good. Her main perk is that she's a high mobility character that can also make use of Reinforced Revive really well, and Sisterly. And both of those, I would personally put those two at the best special tunes in the entire game. So yeah, I mean, her being able to make great use of both of them is like a very fantastic trait. But everything else about her is just kind of so bad that I don't really feel that it warrants anything higher than A tier. I'm kind of glad though. I don't want the frog to be super good, because she was terrible to fight when she was super good. Yep, anyway, I don't feel like there's much more to talk about her, so I'm just going to move on. Assault Kiri. D tier. Actually, this is Chaos City. I'll put him in C tier. I think Chaos City Assault Kiri can make decent use of the closer range environments in order to get hefty damage with his gammas. But that's about it. I mean, the character's just really like struggling, and any good player can just kite an Assault Kiri to the ends of the earth. And Assault Kiri requires like 999 to even be usable. Yeah. This character is just not good. And I don't think there's really much more to say about it, because we all know Assault Kiri's not good. Strike Kiri, on the other hand, is S tier. I don't think he's as good as the like S plus characters, but I definitely think he's a step above the S minus characters so far. His rock is insane. That move is like very good. But he used to get a lot of advantage over the third Gamma tune before the third Alpha tune came out, because he could triple stack tunes on his primary projectile, but most of the cast couldn't really do that. Now that the rest of the cast can also triple stack tunes, his damage is a lot less impressive. Like the 138 or something like that he used to do, like, I don't even think it was 130, I think it was exactly 130, I don't remember fully, per Gamma. That's no longer as impressive, because now Full Bullet, now Tech Shoto can both hit those numbers, and then there's other characters like Assault Deku and Strike Toto that can now keep up a lot better with those numbers, just because of like the near 20% buff to their alphas that they now also receive, and I think that hurts Strike Kiri. But there is no saying that a character with this much mobility and like the defensive properties with that shield, as well as having such a spammable projectile, there's no saying that this character is bad. This character is very strong. Just, I don't think he's S plus material. Momo. Chaos City Momo is like a solid A, probably above Fruppy. It's very tough. She can make really good use of the indoor areas for her cannons, and unlike US or UA Island, there isn't a lot of verticality to the map, which works pretty well to her favor. But yeah, the main thing holding her back is that she can't tune like her gamma at all and like all that, and her low mobility. Like it's often so easy to just catch out a Momo and take them down. But if a Momo really places herself well and throws down a cannon at the right spot, yeah, she's very strong and she can easily melt like a whole team. But yeah, I don't think she's absurd or anything. Wall Runner is really nice on her. Sisterly is really nice on her. And that ends up working out really well. Special Action Reload I can see also being pretty good for more bags. But, I mean, it's really just up to how you want to play Momo. I'd personally say rock Sisterly Wall Runner. Or High Speed Replenishment Wall Runner. One of those two. Strike Denki. Now, this might be a hot take. I'm putting him at A+. The main thing that was keeping Strike Denki good was his stun, which admittedly he still has, and his alpha hitting much harder than the rest of the cast. Like, I believe currently it does, like, when you're max tune it, it does, like, 107 and then, like, 112. But he can't use his own Tech Denki alpha tune, which means he doesn't get the buff that most of the other beamers got, and it's the same reason why Strike Bakugo is lower. He's still strong, don't get me wrong, his alpha still hits really hard, but I think the mobility advantage and range advantage that the two above him have make up for the slight damage increase that he has. He used to have a much bigger damage increase over the other two, but now he doesn't have that near as much. So, yeah, I mean, I think Strike Denki is going to be falling down a little bit and moving below the other typical beamers. Yep, that's my opinion. I can see the argument for him being above the other beamers, though. And I mean, Strike Shadow also has the stun with a much less restrictive cooldown, in my opinion. Yeah. That's my opinion on it. Tech Denki. There's a lot of arguments on whether Tech Denki is better or worse than Strike. And honestly, I don't know, because they both fill very different roles. I'm going to keep it like this. Actually, I think he's there. He's not like a no knockdown beamer or anything like that, but he can third party better than pretty much any character in the game can, in my opinion. And he also sets up pretty well with high burst damage, because he can do like beta into alpha, 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 and get like pretty solid damage on anybody he hits with that. He also has traps for defense, he has high HP, he has good mobility. He's got a lot going on for him. It's just, he's not like impressive in my opinion. I don't think he's like busted or anything. I don't think he's S tier. But I definitely think he's going to be a strong character that is going to remain pretty good until they end up buffing him and then he ends up being busted. But yeah, I mean, his cooldowns are terrible though. For a technical, his cooldowns are actually awful. I honestly want to see that changed. I wouldn't mind a aim down sights alpha damage nerf for a reload buff on alpha. Because this alpha's reload is actually terrible. It's straight garbage. Kendo. Moving on. Alright, real talk about Kendo though. What are you doing playing this character still? The third alpha tune does let her alpha go up pretty high. Like she gets 96 at level 1 and then 132 at level 9 when you have 3 alpha tunes. And you can probably get that a little bit higher if you min-max a bit better than what my budget build currently has. And with Embrittlement, you can get that all the way up to like 156. And that's with no strikes on the team. But at the same time, like, her beta's bugged right now. I believe in recent games, I ended up having a Strike Kiri beta do, no joke, the entire health bar of the shield. It did 600 damage instantly. Broke the shield from full. And until that's, like, fixed, this character will remain really bad. Because that shield is her lifeline, and with her shield breaking so fast, so many attacks in the game for no reason, that's killing the character. That's honestly killing the character. She can't really use that shield as a defensive option when one wrong attack insta-kills it. And even then, there's also the bug right now where sometimes attacks just go straight through the shield. Because, she wasn't good. She wasn't bad enough, apparently. Yeah. I think Kendo's garbage. I think you can make her work with an embrittlement build, but as long as you have to not rely on the shield as much as you probably should be able to. Because that shield will go down to the wrong attacks if you use it improperly. Obara. Call this a hot take. S. I wouldn't say above Strike Kiri. But with the third alpha tune, her alpha can go to 200 damage. Yeah, you heard that right. 200 damage per alpha. Without any strikes on the team, by the way. If you get double strike, that's like 220 damage or something like that. It's absurd, the damage that this character gets with that alpha tune. And the ability to also run Reinforced Revive and get 2 revives in one clip. Yeah, the character is broken. The character is heavily slept upon right now. I think Obara is only going to be moving up in the rankings. I think this character is incredibly strong, and her lack of mobility isn't as big a deal when she 3-shots pretty much the entire cast. Anyway, All Might. I think he's a potent beamer. I'm going to put him below Denki. Actually, he has a better fire rate than Denki, so I'm going to put him above Denki, I guess. Yeah, All Might's main issue is that his mobility is incredibly laggy and he doesn't have a lot of range. But he does have more alpha damage than the other characters, and once again, you can triple stack his alpha to do over 100 per alpha, which is really incredible. In stun comps with like Aizawa and stuff, all of these no knockdown beamers are now like a lot better in those comps than they originally were. And they can just melt health bars much faster than they used to be able to. The triple alpha tune is like really like helping these beamers a lot. And I'm going to make a video on the third alpha tune in the near future, so be on the lookout for that. I'll just be like showcasing a little bit of what it can do, and yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely absurd. Cementos. I mean, I'm personally gonna put him. Is that too low? I'm gonna put him there. I think his ability to place down walls and stuff is really useful, and like blocking himself indoors and whatever. But at the end of the day, he still does require a lot of levels, and his alpha and gamma both don't get tuned properly, because it only buffs the projectile but not the actual rock, so it buffs the not very useful part. Yeah, I mean, this character is like struggling a little bit in my opinion. But he's still, like, really annoying, really obnoxious, and, like, a really strong character. You could still do really well with him. But he's struggling a lot more now than he used to. And I feel like Obara is kind of just better than him in so many different ways. I think Cementos has his place, but I think he's fallen off. Mount Lady. I'm gonna put her at A plus below Denki. I think she's good. I think her alpha still does really good damage. But the main problem with her is that, like, she doesn't have very good range. And her, like, I don't know. She's reliant on, like, her build and stuff. Having Revenge Support and Sisterly is, like, an incredible combo for her. And that's why she's up here this high. But without that, she would, like, honestly be, like, B tier. Like, a very bad character. Her Giant mode is really nice as a late game win condition, but it's not as good as it was before Tech Denki dropped, because now all of the alpha spammers are going to be hitting her for harder while she's doing that. And while she's in Giant mode, which is really going to hurt her. I don't think it hurts her, like, too badly. But, yeah, I mean, she's just really, like, kind of struggling right now. If her best fit had a tech slot, that would be like really useful, but it doesn't, so she doesn't get to make use of the triple stacked alphas. Not on her sisterly fit anyway. Yeah. I think the character doesn't need any more buffs. I think she's in a very good spot. If Sisterly gets nerfed, I would want to see her with 350 health back. And maybe a Gamma reload buff. But that's all I would want to see from her. I wouldn't want to see much more. I think she does her job as a melee fighter that does lots of damage. I think she does her job at that. Alright. Strike Shiggy. Honestly, C tier above Assault Curie. He's good, but just like every other list I make, he struggles very... You know what, actually, I'm going to put him on B tier because of Chaos City. I've noticed that Chaos City has a lot more densely populated indoor areas that work really well for him in like a defensive strategy. But still, at the end of the day, you can counter the character by just kind of jumping in the air. And I don't think that's really good for him at all. He still just folds to Nezures. He still just folds to a lot of the rapids. Yeah, he has to play his cards like really, really well to take on a majority of the cast. And even then, if the other end is just good and they play well, Strike Shiggy can't really do anything about it. And he's also very level reliant, which doesn't help him at all any. But yeah, I mean, he gets to make use of the third alpha tune, I guess, which puts his alpha at like 120, I'm pretty sure. It's like pre-nerf alpha damage, which, don't get me wrong, is good, but I don't think it's enough to save him. Assault Shiggy, I'm gonna put him in A tier just above Bakugo. Yeah, actually I like that spot. His main issue is that once again he can't really hit aerial targets like at all, which makes him really bad against the Rapids, the Strike Kyries, you know, that stuff. But with the third Alpha tune, you do basically get pre-nerf Assault Shiggy damage back, as now his Alpha does 80 total without his special action applied to the opponent. And yeah, I mean, that really helps him. That really definitely gives him a buff. He's definitely that good. But yeah, I still don't feel like he compares to the other beamers that are getting like 100 per shot. I think he's really good if you can't aim. If you can't aim, then play Assault Shiggy. But if you can aim, then you'll probably have better luck on or better time on All Might or Assault Deku or something like that. He could still do crazy high burst damage with his Gamma Beta Gamma Alpha combo, but what character doesn't have insanely high burst damage at this point? Like Assault Deku can do Gamma into Alphas. All Might does Beta into Alpha. Denki Gamma stuns. I mean, like, a lot of the characters in this game have really high burst damage at this point. And so Assault Shiggy's burst damage being a little bit higher than the rest of the cast in their burst damage, I don't feel like it's enough to really warrant picking him over the rest of the cast, because he just has downsides in other areas. Tech Dabi. First time Tech Dabi's not at the bottom of the tier list, but dang, is he still bad. The no mobility. But he does get Wall Runner and Sisterly, which end up helping him out a lot. And at least his wall works. But, I mean, at the end of the day, he still can't really... He can't really do a lot. It's still kind of unfortunate. Just, if you're a good player, just don't approach him. He'll eventually be forced to approach you, I guess, but if you just like keep kiting him, it's kind of like Assault Curie. If you just kite him, there's nothing he can do. Except unlike Assault Curie, he doesn't really have any ways to close the gap without taking damage. Or without like... Because his run speed isn't even that much faster than the rest of the cast, and he has no mobility options. While Assault Curie at least can alpha forward to try and get closer to you and then set up for his stuff. Tech Dabi is really only useful in like an indoor camping comp, and even then there's just better options in my opinion. Strike Dabi. This character's stupid. This character's really stupid. I'm honestly putting him below Obara, but don't get me wrong, this does not mean that he's bad by any means. This character, his ability to just grab you once and do like way too much damage to you is kind of absurd. But he folds pretty hard to like team comps, but he also works really well in team comps. Like if he can grab one person in a 3v3 fight, take them out of the fight for a bit, force them to back off and go heal or whatever, then yeah, he's like really useful in those comps. But at the same time, if the enemy is playing with their team and their enemy has like a knockdown alpha, like Texodo, Full Bullet, Obara, or really any like knockdown move in general, they can hit Strike Dabi out of his beta and do, like, Strike Dabi basically just did nothing then. He just ate 200 damage and that was it. Yeah. Strike Dabi gets countered by good team play, but he also works well with team play, especially since your teammates can keep the enemies off of you while you grab somebody, or keep them distracted for a second. Yeah. Strike Dabi's strong. Strike Dabi's very good, don't get me wrong. But I don't think at top level he's as busted as some of the other characters in this game are. So I'm going to put him at like really low S. Tech Toga. I heard from somebody that her gamma tracking was fixed, and then I immediately heard that nope, it wasn't. And until her gamma tracking is fixed, she's going to remain down here. And you know, it's unfortunate, but I mean at the same time, what can you do? She's just been power crept very hard. They nerfed her beta at a time where her beta wasn't as much of a problem. And then they've never really done any buffs to try and help her at all since. You know what the real buff was, though? Rapid Toga getting launched. I'm gonna make a hot take here. I think she's worse than Texodo. I think Texodo's 125 damage alphas on GP and 130 on HP is more valuable than Rapid Toga is. That's my personal opinion. Don't get me wrong. Rapid Toga is still a very incredible character. I think the third Alpha Toon ends up not working well in her favor. She also could work like... She worked like kind of how Strike Curie used to, where she could make use of the triple stacked Gammas while nobody else could really do that as well. But now that triple stacked Alphas is a thing, she can't really... She doesn't have that advantage anymore. She doesn't have that like 10% damage increase on her primary attack that the other characters didn't have, because now everybody's got it. So yeah, now it's like a lot less threatening. Her Gamma's damage isn't as impressive compared to some of the rest of the cast now. Yeah, she's strong, don't get me wrong, she's definitely a very good character, very high utility, very high mobility, a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm pretty sure her alpha, like, the first hit gets buffed by alpha attack, but the return hit doesn't, so she doesn't even get that much use of alpha attack. You can triple stack alpha on her, but it doesn't do a lot. Yeah. Rapid Toga, I think she's still strong, but I don't think she's top 2 anymore. I think she's top 3. Compress. Honestly, B+. Strong when he needs to be. Heavy late game carry, but just not quite there. I feel like it's too easy to kill a Compress nowadays. Just kind of... He can teleport away, like, pretty easily, I guess, and his trucks still do, like, decent damage. I could be wrong about this, but I don't think his trucks get buffed by the Alpha Toons either. I think that's a stupid bug that's also affecting him. Yeah. Compress, I want to see him get, like, a little bit of, like, a change. I want to see his beta work a bit better, or I want to see him be less level reliant. But yeah, for now, I definitely think B+ is the proper place for him. If his special action was, like, faster, or, like, did more, I guess, then I could probably move him up. But yeah, for now, this is where I'm going to put him. Make his barrier the size of Kendo's shield. You already made Kendo useless, so you might as well give her a good replacement. Whew. Man, it's hurting my voice. Aizawa. Strong. I'm honestly going to say S-. Honestly, probably above those. His main issue is that he's still a little bugged. Like sometimes his alpha doesn't pull into you like it's supposed to. It's really weird. But at the same time, this character, there is no denying how powerful this character is if you learn all the combos and stuff. Like in modern day with the gamma changes, I'll see if I'll put like a little clip of it at some point. Like maybe I'll put it like on screen now. With his gamma changes, you can do like gamma into melee 1 into gamma into alpha and then do like air alpha. Or even if you simply pull someone in with the alpha, you can do gamma into melee 1 into air alpha to get like also a lot of damage from that. Yeah. I think the shadow buff to gamma did a lot to help him. I think without the shadow buff to gamma, he'd be like A plus. Still useful on no knockdown beamer comps too, by the way. Still very useful on those. And then yeah, incredible like team player as well with the special action. Endeavor. Above or below Strike Shiggy? I'm gonna put him above. I don't think Endeavor's truly terrible. I think he needs just a little bit more help. I don't want to see it happen really to his alpha's damage. I don't want to see Aim Assist Endeavor come back and be meta again. I want that to be gone and something that never comes back. But even at the end of the day, Endeavor is still struggling very heavily. I think a lot of things could help him, like an increase to his mobility game, like a little bit more alpha charges, better reloads on all his skills, something. A lot of things could help him, and I want to see some of those things happen. And I don't think he needs a lot. I think a good few cooldown buffs and like maybe a slight damage buff to, I want to say like 1 or 2 points to alpha across the board. And I could see him moving up to like A tier, but for now he struggles too much. So I'm going to put him at B. Twice. Yet another character that can make use of the triple alpha tunes. I want to put him there. He ended up in the right spot. I think he has more range than the other characters do, but I also don't think he's that absurd. I think his gamma combos... You know what, actually? No. Up there. Because of Sisterly. I forgot about Sisterly for a second there. How could I? This character's stupid. Yeah. Gamma, Alpha, Gamma Air Melee for like Sisterly setups and stuff. Still incredibly potent. And there's a way to make the Gamma Alpha Gamma combo consistent. Ever since the Shadow nerf, I had problems doing it, but I figured out that if you just hold backwards when you do the second Gamma, it works pretty much every time. And yeah, I mean, ever since, like, Twice has just been very strong. Yeah, I mean, this is where I personally put Twice. You can get his Alpha to do, like, hefty damage now. And, yeah, I mean, there really isn't much more to say. I mean, I think Twice is just strong, very combo-heavy target. I think he's just a worse version of Strike Dobby to an extent. But he still, like, has his moments where he's better than Strike Dobby, if that makes any sense. It's weird. His mobility is just really easy to hit him out of, though, I will say that. When he's, like, trying to disengage and stuff, you can pretty easily just shoot him out of the air. He's, like, not really a hard target to hit. AFO. I mean, he's good. I think he's really good in, like, team play comps. I'm gonna put him above All Might. Because just like Assault Deku, he can make use of the third Alpha Tune to get over 100 damage per shot now. And he still has his beta setups with beta, alpha, alpha. He still has all that. Yeah, I mean, this character's still very strong. I think the PC community is underrating him a little bit. He also has setups into Sisterly. And yeah, I mean, he's very strong. He's a little level reliant on getting some beta levels and some alpha levels. But it's not quite as bad as some of the rest of the cast is. So yeah, this is where I'm going to keep him. I'm going to keep him right there. Mirio. B+. He's got high mobility, and that's about it. It's super easy to, like, just roll him. And I know some people are going to be mad about this, but really, just roll him. I hate that argument for some characters. But for Mirio, it really is pretty much just roll him. Like, there is, like, nothing more to it. If he goes for beta, he's liable to eat a ton of damage. If he goes for gamma and doesn't, like, immediately do beta after or special action, he's liable to eat a lot of damage. Yeah. Mirio, I want to see some buffs. I want to see 250 health back. And maybe third alpha at all levels. I wouldn't be, like, I would probably say that's a good idea. Yeah. That's my opinion. And also make his auto combo like actually true on shield instead of like, cause you can roll the second hit and fourth hit on shield. It's really weird. It's really stupid. Yeah. Mirio, I feel like he's one good buff away from like A or A plus, but right now he's definitely not up there. Overhaul. Solid A plus. I'm gonna put him behind a lot of the no knockdown beamers. His gamma into gamma still does crazy damage, don't get me wrong. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's still like not outputting as much damage as he used to with the alpha. And he now relies on getting downs to get his special action back. But that if he does end up with a down though, he can pretty much get like 2 special actions within 20 seconds. Which is really strong. Like if he gets a down, he can heal a teammate really quickly. And then 20 seconds later, he'll be injured himself and he can heal himself. And I think that's a very strong move. But at the end of the day, it's still like not that bad to like team and like team up as like your group and like target the overhaul for like a second and then he goes down. Yeah. No mobility and I mean not really like defensive tools either. Like Gamma I guess is kind of defensive, same with Beta. But Hawks. Hawks is still very strong. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to put him at S, just below Strike Dobby. I think Gamma into ADS Alpha is incredible and stupid. I think Beta has fallen off a little bit. But there's also ability he gets where he can run Sisterly and Embrittlement. And that is straight terrible to deal with. If he lands a melee, he wins that fight. Because he now basically has like a 75% damage advantage on you. That's absurd. Yeah. Hawks, I want to see a little bit of nerfs. I feel like most of the nerfs I want to see are too sisterly, but I also wouldn't mind a little bit of an alpha damage nerf or gamma damage nerf. I feel like he could use those as well. Or maybe alpha charges. Maybe instead of 30 to 50, which I think is what he gets, make it like 20 to 40. Minus like 10 charges or something like that. I don't know. I think Hawks could use a little bit more of changes. I think he's still very strong. Yeah. Moving on. Mike. Mike is the only other character I've considered for S+. But, surprisingly, he actually doesn't get as much from the third Alpha Toon as you might think. Like, I believe I did it on one of his fits, and he only got like 80 damage from it. And it's really weird. I feel like he should have more than that. But even with that, he's still very good. Still top of S in my opinion. He's pretty much a no knockdown beamer without his boombox. Like sure it knocks down in 5 shots, but you're rarely getting that without the opponent going down. Or without somebody else like knocking them down first. Yeah. Set up the boombox though, he gets like 130 damage alphas. Balanced, by the way. And his mobility isn't even that bad with the 3 gamma charges. Like, people complained about it when he first came out. It's really not that bad. 3 gammas is more than enough for him to do basically anything he needs to. And his beta, like, still bypasses super armor moves, which is really stupid. And it still has crazy range when you hold it, and it still does absurd damage. Yeah, I think Mike is one of the best backliners in the game. That's my opinion. I think him and Ibarra are like the best 2 like backliners in the game, while the rest of the characters should be either in like the middle line or like front line. Alright. Nejire. I actually don't think this character is as broken as people say. I'm going to put her at S-. No joke, she's she's at the top of S minus, that's for sure. She's very strong. But I don't think she's like S plus or anything. Because if you can just hit your shots, it's really not that hard to take one down. They're usually in the air, they're usually in a pretty linear animation, and that makes them pretty easy to hit out of the air. So as long as you can just hit your shots, like, she's realistically not that hard to kill. And for the last character, Kirigiri. I think he's good. I definitely think he's very stupid. But I don't think he's that busted. I'm actually going to put him right there. He can do pretty good damage, but he can't really... like, he can do pretty good burst damage with like the beta and stuff, but if he does that, then he loses basically all of his mobility. And yeah, I mean, he specializes in not being in the fight and leaving his team to fight a 2v3. But when he does that, I mean, he makes really good use of it. Like, he have his Gamma out there to help out the fight as much as he possibly can. And then as soon as somebody goes down, he just cancels that, warps them in, gets them up, has reinforced revive so they get up with like almost full health, and then just sends them right back out there. And he's really good at that. I will give him that. He's really good at that. He's probably one of the better instant revives. But I can't say that he's better than Abara, who just does 200 damage alphas and does something very similar. Yeah. Kirigiri's strong, but I don't think he's game-breaking or anything. Which, good on the devs for showing some restraint this time. Anyway, I'm going to do one last overlook on the tier list a little bit. Full Bullet tier in his own tier, as all things should be. Then Texhodo, Rapid Toga, which I really like that. I think that's a good positioning. Then I think all of these are like the next in line. These are the S plus tiers. Once Full Bullet, Texhodo, and Rapid Toga get hit, these become the new S plus tiers, like this group of 5. And then, yeah, S minus, still very strong characters. Could also probably use nerfs, but often not really heavy nerfs. A plus tier, strong characters, but they don't really break the game any. I could see a lot of these no knockdown beamers like Deku, Strike Toto, and All Might going up with the 3rd Alpha Toon, but we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out a little bit better. And then, yeah, I mean, the rest of these characters below, I think, are in use of, like, minor buffs. Except for Cementos, hate that guy. Keep him bad. But, like, Compress and Mirio, I could see getting buffs. And then all the characters, like, in these bottom 6, all really need buffs in their own ways. Anyway, that'll be it for this video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll also remind a lot of y'all that I am streaming on Twitch more regularly now. So I would love to see some of you guys stop by if you are ready. Link will be in the description. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and peace.